Good afternoon, Cloud community, and welcome back to Las Vegas, Nevada. We're here coming to the end of day 2 of our 3 days of coverage on theCUBE. My name's Savannah Peterson, bringing you all the insights and the data breakdown with Dave Vellante all week. Dave, I feel like this conversation we're about to have is very much in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, my favorite topic other than sports.
Other than sports is data?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
Something you and Robert Herjavec have in common, actually.
Yeah,
Obsession,
there you go. Wow.
an absolute obsession with
Wish
data.
we had more in common.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, holler. Oh, but here to tell us all about it and share some very exciting new data that was just announced is Yasmeen. Yasmeen, thank you so much for taking time to come hang out with us.
Thank you, it's a pleasure to be here with you discussing data. Also one of my favorite topics.
I feel like I'm in really good company. I might actually be the least data nerd on the desk right now, and that's saying something, because I'm really into it as well. So, without further ado, you are able to share some numbers that were announced this week. Tell us all about that.
Absolutely, so for the first time we shared kind of the size and scale and momentum that we've built with our data platform, BigQuery. So we shared where we have 5 times the number of customers than the other 2 data platform, data warehouse, AI platforms in the market. And that's super exciting.
5 times.
5 times.
That's pretty significant.
That is very significant. And part of that 5 times is just down to both Google's leadership in data and AI, which over the last year has meant we've seen an influx of customers coming to Google Cloud from, yes, on-premises to modernize into cloud, but also from other clouds and other data platforms as they want to come and leverage Google's best-in-class AI combined with our data technology.
And that's a customer number, like accounts, right?
That's
Is
number
that
of
correct?
customers.
You wouldn't care to share revenue comparisons, would you?
Unfortunately, they won't authorize me to share that. Just that stat alone is amazing for me to be able to share because it shows Google's momentum in this space. And just over the past year, we've seen a 300% increase in the use of our migration services. We've seen a 30% increase in the data volumes we're managing. It's exabytes of data.
Wow.
So it just shows the momentum of customers really moving to leverage our Gen AI and data technology.
But I mean, BigQuery was a true cloud data warehouse, native, from the beginning. Separating compute from storage, obviously, was the big thing back last decade. Now, the big conversation around is essentially separating data from any engine, right? The whole open table formats and Iceberg and all that brouhaha. It seems to be of interest to customers, brings a lot of complexities. What's your thinking on that trend? What are customers telling you?
Absolutely, I think you're picking up on a key trend. So last year we announced the unification of a number of services into BigQuery, so including data, governance, AI, streaming. So that last year was that first step into a unified platform with all of these capabilities. We've taken it a step further this year to now truly unify data and AI together. So one of the key things we heard from customers is AI bolted onto data systems doesn't work. I don't want to have to duplicate my data, take it out of my data cloud to go do AI. I need the AI brought to the data. And we also published numbers in a study we did showing that at Google, we're 8 to 16-fold cheaper to run AI, multimodal AI over multimodal data because of how we're infusing data and AI at a foundational level. So we're seeing a huge number of Gen AI multimodal use cases now over multimodal data in BigQuery, and it's only because we're making it so easy to work with all of this different type of data, whether it's in an open data format or it's in a managed storage service from BigQuery. Exactly as you mentioned, we're separating that data foundation from the engines, so the engines now all operate through our unified catalog across the single data foundation.
So what was so smart about that? I mean, you guys obviously
There's a lot of things smart about that.
know what you're doing here, but the trend is the point of control is shifting from the database to that governance catalog layer, but the value actually is even further upstream, especially as you bring in AI. And so that's an interesting, it creates an interesting dynamic for a lot of the players that rose up because they had, whether it was a great a data platform or maybe they had ML chops. So the whole world is now, you bring in agentic, it's really changing. How do you think about where the value is flowing for customers? And obviously the role that data plays, harmonizing that data, unifying that data, being able to govern that data. But the value's moving upstream, isn't it?
Absolutely, and we actually see there's innovation happening at every layer of the stack. So when I think about the data foundation, just yesterday we launched a number of autonomous data foundation capabilities that are powered by agents, agentic AI. So for example, in that autonomous data foundation, we now have automated metadata generation, automated cataloging at scale. We've launched features around anomaly detection. All of this is in service of actually making the hard work of data much easier so that organizations and the humans in those organizations can move up and focus on the business outcomes instead of managing data. So as customers bring a lot of multimodal data to BigQuery and overall our BigQuery Big Lake services, we don't want them to have to be thinking about managing data and instead be able to interact with some of our agent capabilities on the top layer that allow them to actually drive insights. You saw me showcase the data science agent, the data engineering agent, our new conversational analytics agent. We want humans to be focused on thinking about their business problems and how they can use data to solve those problems versus managing the data infrastructure, if you like.
So said another way, sorry for saying that, the database administrators live, which is really was mundane, a lot of performance tuning, a lot of metadata management, gets dramatically simplified. That mundane stuff goes away, they can focus on other stuff. I've been surprised actually that more companies haven't, I mean Oracle's obviously made a big deal about autonomous database. Google is there and really driving that, that automation, which is game changer for the life of a DBA.
And we actually see that metadata generation, semantic generation is also being critical in this AI era. So as we are building these agents and agentic capabilities, they have to work on a data foundation, and we have the largest customers in the world. They don't have small data foundations. They have millions of tables, billions of records, billions of columns of data. How is an agent or agentic capability supposed to make sense of which data to select from that vast sea? So actually, the work we've done on this automated metadata generation semantics builds into what we launched yesterday, the BigQuery Knowledge Engine. The Knowledge Engine is actually a dynamic knowledge graph that extracts its intelligence from metadata, from usage logs, from history. It allows it to create a context of the business and how data is related. And that knowledge graph is the shared intelligence that powers all these agents. So when these agents get to work, we see by using the knowledge engine, they're 50% more accurate at identifying the right data sets. And through using semantics in this knowledge engine, we see 2/3 better accuracy at answering business data questions.
That's how you're harmonizing all that disparate data, serving up the agents with confidence, and you've got the governance piece of it. You've got the technical metadata, the business and operational metadata, all unified. Brilliant.
Yeah, and once you have your knowledge graph, you can really hit the races and hit the ground running, especially if that's well compiled and put together. I'm curious if you're noticing, I mean, especially given the incredible customer numbers that you have, are there specific industries that are jumping into this transformation faster than others, or are there any other trends that you're seeing just in general?
It's been amazing for me to see just how fast industries have been able to adopt, whether it's the agent AI capabilities that we're building. This is faster adoption than any other technology we've seen. And part of it is, you've got the largest enterprises, they're innovation leaders, often ahead of the pack, able to invest in these new technologies. But actually, some of the agents in agentic AI are making it easier even for smaller organizations, startups to SMBs to actually invest in their data foundations and move faster, because it's giving them the skills that they would have traditionally had to go out and hire for, maybe didn't have access to. So it's, in some ways, GenAI has been a leveler in terms of the playing field of data foundations for all organizations. The interesting use case mix, though, I do see is, yes, customers are doing the external use cases we've always seen with data analytics, like customer analytics, supply chain analytics, and so on. but the number of internal use cases to support inside the organization, operational workflows, helping the employee workforce go faster, those are use cases we traditionally did not see. And so Mattel, they were in the keynote, their CEO talking about how they're using BigQuery, Vertex AI. Traditionally, they had a lot of product feedback coming through a lot of retail channels. They would use actually spreadsheets to try and make sense and pull out signals from this feedback. Now that customer feedback, multimodal data, not very structured, comes into their multimodal data foundation in BigQuery, and they use Vertex AI to pull signals. And they shared a great example of a new product they released. It had a little elevator in it, and there was a problem with the door. And they were able to pick up the issue with the product and actually fix that in the same production run and have the product fixed. And I call this the real-time data activation flywheel. That's what we want to enable with customers. The speed at which they can actually land data, see it be processed, get to insight and activate it. We're shortening that cycle, and we're seeing that cycle shorten with customers on a lot of these internal use cases on unstructured data.
With all this automation
That's
and
amazing.
intelligence that you're injecting into the system, how do you see the data pipeline evolving, maybe changing completely? You know, the work that Zhamak has done, Zhamak Dehghani, if you're familiar with her work, the data mesh, she laid out the problem, you know, brilliantly.
Yeah.
How will data pipelines change in the future, or how are they changing today?
So customers, even though we've been on years of journey on bringing together data foundations, bringing together the ideal customer 360, it's still been a huge challenge for organizations. In the keynote demo, you saw me show bringing together SAP, Salesforce, Google Ads data through a data engineering agent, through natural language, and asking it to build workflows. This is where I think the magic of Gemini really comes in. It was a game changer last year when Gemini 2.0 came out with the thinking model. Because previous to that, we were working with GenAI models, but with complex tasks like data pipelines, we were having to try and figure out, it's not just a simple question answer, I need you to do a multi-step thing. How do I break it into multi-step and then ask the GenAI foundation model to build that step? Well, as soon as Gemini 2.0 came out with its thinking mode, it can now think to create multi-step workflows and actually often create several options of them too. So you now have a technology that can create those workflows dynamically, whether it's 3 steps or 10 steps, and you're not having to teach it how to do those steps. And within each step, we're teaching it actually how to use tools or other agents. So it's like, hey, you have access to a tool called BigQuery Machine Learning, where you can do lots of sophisticated data quality metrics, or you have access to BigQuery anomaly detection. So as you're building this pipeline, you can be doing anomaly detection and understanding if the data coming in today is different from the data patterns we've been seeing for the last month. Metadata generation, it can invoke metadata generation. So suddenly having a model that can actually come up with multi-step workflows and having a model that can activate tools is super powerful. The combination of what you can do, the possibilities are endless.
Stay on that for a moment, because I didn't, unfortunately we didn't get to see your demo because we were here, but you pulled data from SAP, from Salesforce, from Google Ads. You've got the harmonization, the semantic layer some people call it, so you've got that piece covered, and then you're able to then allow the agents to work on that. And then the metadata piece, previously you would have to pull data out of those systems, move it into a data warehouse or a data lake, and then at some point in time, add the metadata in, bolt that on. You're saying all that is now done dynamically.
So as I wish, the demos in the show floor here are showing, and some of our sessions, the data engineering agents that we're building basically pull all of those pieces together with Gemini's models. So Gemini, the thinking model, is what is able, we teach it how to use each of those tools. We just say, hey, you have a tool called metadata generation, you have a tool called anomaly detection. So it activates those tools based on what the user's prompt is. So depending on how I prompt the data engineering agent, it can begin to activate those tools and help me dynamically create a pipeline. And we do actually see this as a collaboration between the user and today the agent. So, with conversational analytics, that's a prime example where we put the agent to work, it builds a multi-step workflow to give you an answer. But what we're finding is the human user often, if you think about real world analytics and how that happens, I don't just go to my analytics team and say, hey, do this for me and get the answer and that's me. Typically you collaborate, you say, oh well, now that I see that, that's interesting. Could we actually, instead of looking at it by product category, maybe look at it by a different product segmentation? So you'll collaborate. So with Gemini's thinking model, now Gemini can actually explain how it got to its answer, so you can actually expose the plan that Gemini is building, and then have the user actually collaborate on that plan. So through our interfaces, what we're also giving is users the optionality to see that plan, collaborate, change things within that plan, and then come up with that perfect pipeline, come up with that perfect analytics workflow. So I wanted to labor on that point because today, it's not just about the agent goes away and does it all, it's about creating transparency and collaboration.
It is about that, and potentially surprising and delighting yourself with what you're able to create or get done as a result of that. I can imagine you get to learn quite a bit from your customers as you go through these processes and see what they do or how they prompt things or what they build. It's such an exciting time right now. All right, Yasmeen, I have one final question for you. When we're hanging out here at Google Cloud Next in 2026, same time next year, what do you hope to be able to say then that you can't yet say today?
What do I hope to be able to say then? So I spoke about some of the momentum with our customers. I'm just super excited about what our customers will do next with this technology. I think customers are only scratching the surface right now with what's possible. They're only discovering what's possible. So over the next series of months, we're actually doing a ton of innovation workshops with our customers where we're showing them demos of what's possible today, and you just see the eyes wide open on, fun. Oh my gosh, if I could do this, then I can do boom, boom, boom. So I think by 2026 next, you will just see a whole level of step change innovation with customers activating multimodal data foundations, being able, the next sophistication of these agents really working in harmony with our customers to do things that were thought impossible. And maybe just as a final comment, I'll reflect on the Wizard of Oz.
Yes, so many people have talked about that this week. It's been really magical.
That was phenomenal, and if you watch the kind of making of the Wizard of Oz, you'll see even our DeepMind teams saying 3 months ago, 6 months ago, we thought this was impossible, and 3 months later, it's possible. So as we meet these customer challenges, what I love about Google is we love leaning into the impossible. We love leaning into the problems where it's, hey, this has never been solved before. So I'm also looking forward to how we make those impossible things possible in various industries, be it medication, pharmaceuticals, in movie making. I think there's just limitless possibility here.
So that is the so what of Wizard of Oz, because some of the analysts are saying, yeah, okay, what's the big deal? Well, that was really hard. What else can Google solve that is really hard? And that's the point. That is the so what of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, we got there. Bringing it full circle from the beginning of the show. Yasmeen, thank you so much for this. This was really wonderful. We look forward to keeping up with you and sharing some of those customer stories and those fun examples next year.
Yeah, Dave, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, that was awesome. Dave, thanks to you for hanging out.
Of course.
And thanks to our fabulous community for tuning in to our 3 days of coverage here at Google Cloud Next in Las Vegas, Nevada. My name's Savannah Peterson. You're watching theCUBE, the leading source for enterprise tech news.